Hello, welcome. So today we're going to be looking at r/AmITheA. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in listening to today, then please do stick around and enjoy. And don't forget to like and subscribe, please. Thank you. My goodness, that was the worst one yet. Okay, this first one says, am I the butthole for telling my fiance her tattoo of my dead brother makes me uncomfortable? Okay. First time Redditor here. Okay, so for context, my older brother, 30M, while I'm 29M, passed away 3 years ago in a motorcycle accident. This effed me up severely. Still does. He was my best friend, and we had that whole inseparable since we knew each other type crap, even if he was older. He was never the stereotypical older brother bully sort, and I loved him for that. Anyway, my fiance, who I'll call Bella, is 28F, and met him only a few times, but always said she admired our bond as she has no real siblings of her own. Only step, but they aren't close. A few weeks ago, Bella surprised me with an effing tattoo she got in memory of my brother. It's this pretty effing big, realistic grayscale tattoo of his face with a little Snoopy icon beside it on her upper arm, with his nickname we use, and his birth and death dates underneath. What an odd thing to do when you never really met that person all that much, like a couple of times. That's very odd. When I saw this, I was effing stunned. She said she did it as a tribute to him, and to support me because she knows how much I struggle with grief. I honestly didn't know what to say at first, but the more I sat with it, the more it bothered me. I told her, gently, as much as I could to be honest, that I appreciated the gesture, but found the tattoo really uncomfortable. Like, it's unsettling to see his face on my fiance's body. Like, it's too much, especially since they barely knew each other. That is too much, and I don't know about you guys, but I swear that phone has been doing nothing but making noise today, and it's driving me mental. Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I find realistic tattoos very, weird. A lot of the time. They have to be so perfectly done by someone who is extraordinarily talented to not look just obscure. Like, if they're not of anyone's face in particular, it's fine. But you know, realistic tattoos when they're supposed to be someone you know, it's very uncanny valley, I feel. Unless, again, they're done really, really well on a very flat surface. So, you know, like a thigh or something. Because as soon as you add in the contours of your own body as well, it distorts the image. It's so uncanny valley to me. Unless it's done, like, perfectly by someone who's extremely talented. And then for it to be something you never asked for as well. Like, that is another level of, uncomfortable, for sure. Yeah, I totally get why the OP would be really unhappy about this. And, like, I don't know. It would really weird me out, just the way that she's gone and done it when she barely knew him. I'd be like, are you just doing this for attention? Is that what this is? Anyway, let's get back to the post. She got upset and said that I was being weird about a nice gesture and making her regret doing something beautiful. Her words. I don't think it was something beautiful. I think it was really weird. Now she's distant, and my mum thinks I should just be thankful someone loved my brother enough to memorialise him. But first off, I didn't ask her to do this. And also, it's in a place where you're going to have him staring you down every time you bump uglies. Not gonna lie, that'd freak me out too. Now I'm stuck with a fiance that won't even talk to me properly, and my brother's perfectly black and grey eyes staring at me when I'm laying beside her. And honestly, I don't even want to think about how horrifying having S would be with that on her arm. Literally, that's just what I said. Like, that would be so weird to me. Am I being unreasonable? A-hole-ish? Is it in my right to ask her to get it covered up or, like, zoinked off? Like, don't get me wrong, I'm sure that, you know, in her head, she thought this is a real great idea. She probably thought she was going to get, like, a shit ton of praise off you. And actually, it's just really creepy. But it does feel like using your brother as a way for her to seek attention, because considering she didn't really know him all that well. I wouldn't even get someone's face tattooed on me who I know really well, you know? But I understand some people love portrait tattoos, and I get that. What I'm trying to say is I wouldn't get it tattooed on me as a memorial piece of someone I knew really, really well for everyone then to scrutinise over, because you know me, I don't really like to have all eyes on me. I very much dislike that. So it feels like she's done it to get all eyes on her, which is weird. Really weird. I don't know. Very strange. I'd love to hear your opinions on this. I guess I'm adding some additional details because I don't know how to respond individually. My fiancé and I both have tattoos, and many of them. I have smaller ones, she has bigger ones. Oh, see, now I was imagining she didn't have any for some odd reason. I don't know why. So yeah, if they are blended in with other tattoos, maybe over time you can learn to forget it's there. But yeah, I still think it's weird. To my knowledge, neither of us are mentally ill in any capacity, and we aren't on medication. I can't believe I have to write this. What? Why was someone asking that? I mean, I can understand from her part, because it is really weird to get a memorial tattoo with someone's face on that you barely knew. But OB's part? What? And ever since my reaction, she has been wearing longer sleeve shirts in the daytime. At work, she has to anyway. But that's for home too. It's only during bedtime that I really see it with her wearing tanks, and it physically hurts, lol. Yeah, still, even if she's got loads of tattoos, like, I have quite a few, and every time I get a new bit, to me it stands out like a sore thumb. Not in a bad way, like, but because it's new. And I can see it, and it's really prominent because I'm like, yay, I got a new one. So yeah, even if she's covered, this dude's still going to see that thing sticking out like a sore thumb because it makes him uncomfortable. So, down in the comments, Grave Bunny says, not the butthole, that's a wild overstep on her part. It's one thing to support you through grief, it's another to permanently tattoo your brother's face on her body when they barely knew each other. I agree. That's not a tribute, that's weirdly possessive of your grief and your bond with him. Yeah, see, that's definitely one way to look at it. I personally think it was an attention-seeking thing. Like, she wants people to look at it and go, oh, that's lovely, who was that for? And then she's gonna be like, oh, it was for my partner's brother, we were so close, and then lap up all of the theirs from people. You have every right to feel uncomfortable seeing your late brother's face on your fiancé's arm every day, especially in intimate situations, yeah. It doesn't mean you don't appreciate the sentiment, it just crosses a line. She should have asked you before making such a huge decision involving someone so personal to you. Yeah, definitely. And then a deleted user says, weirdly possessive of your grief is such a spot-on way to describe this. OP then replies to that saying, I really liked that too. And while I think my fiancé didn't have any bad intentions regarding this, it does feel fitting. Yeah, I don't think her intentions were overtly bad. I think, though, subconsciously she really did just want the attention to herself. I think that's what it is, personally. Because, like, she could have just gone and got, like, this dude's name tattooed on her somewhere. Am I the butthole for removing the ladder on my bunk bed so my niece can't get to me? My sister, F24, just moved back home with her husband and their daughter, 5, and son, under 1. My sister was able to convince my parents to make me, F15, share my bedroom with her daughter because she and her husband would already be sharing a bedroom with their baby. She also wanted us to switch bedrooms too because my bedroom is her old bedroom and a lot larger than the spare room, which was my old bedroom. My parents at least said no to that. We ended up having my bed replaced with bunk beds so it wouldn't be too crowded. I sleep on the top bunk, and my niece started in the middle of the night climbing up into my bed to sleep with me because she was scared. I guess she gets scared a lot at night, but more here, and will go to sleep with her parents when she's scared. She is also too scared to go down the hallway to her parents' room because she has to go past the big dark windows in the hallway and past the staircase, which is scary because it's a dark hole. They tried putting in nightlights, but that made it worse. I mean, to be fair, nightlights can be kind of creepy. They really can. I usually sleep deeply, so I don't notice her get in, but I wake up sometimes after she crawls in because it gets really hot and she's kind of gross because she's sticky with sweat and I just don't like it. Can definitely understand that. My youngest often gets in my bed in the middle of the night. If I wake up to it, I will sort of like Give them a hug, give them a cuddle, and then be like, go on, back in your own bed now, please. Because I don't sleep well if there's someone else in the bed. I really don't. But say I don't wake up. When we wake up in the morning, for some reason, just despite the fact that I've got a massive king-size bed, they are right next to me, and they are always sweaty. Just like, okay, get out now, please. So I realised I don't need the ladder to get to the top bunk and ended up using a screwdriver to remove the ladder from the bunk bed so she can't get to me. That is genius, and I love it. I guess she hadn't been sleeping well since I removed the ladder because the school got involved about her being tired all the time and they got in trouble. Yeah, and you shouldn't be there looking after let me just remind myself because I have already forgotten. 5-year-old kid at 15. That is not your problem. That will interfere with your own work. So, no, the parents need to get off their asses and sort it out. My sister thinks I'm being petty and I can just suck it up and let her sleep with me if she's scared. I still don't want to, though. Yeah, that ain't your kid, love. If you don't want to, you don't have to. The parents are going to have to deal with it if she's scared. Like, my goodness, your sister sounds entitled. So down in the comments, Friendly Mum says, not the butthole, you're 15, but still legally a child too. You shouldn't be responsible for a child that isn't yours. Even if you were over 15, you don't need to be responsible for a child that isn't yours. They chose to have kids, they can deal with them. Tell your parents that your needs and your ability to sleep at night are also important, that your tiredness is impacting your schooling and ability to concentrate, and it's time to revisit the sleeping arrangements as it's not working. Also tell them that having a 5-year-old climbing ladders in the middle of the night in the dark and without any kind of supervision is incredibly unsafe for the 5-year-old, and this needs to be changed immediately. Precisely. You need your bedroom back, and your sister and her partner can sleep with and look after their own kids at night. And then No Good Ideas Iowa says, Iowa or lower? I can't tell if that's a capital I or an L. Anyway, they are getting free room and board. The least they can do is suck it up and sleep with their kids in their own room. Precisely. And joyously, we actually do have a little update on this as well. So update for Am I the Butthole for removing the ladder on the bunk bed so my niece can't get to me. I think no, and everyone else did think no too. So this is an update to the post I made. My parents didn't make me put back up the ladder and told my sister and her husband that they had to figure something out. So my niece started sleeping in with sister and her husband in their room. It was too crowded for her husband though, so he started sleeping downstairs. But it didn't work out either because my dad gets up really early. So my sister and her husband started fighting a lot and he left last week. Wow. And I think he is now staying with a friend. So now my sister has to take care of the kids on her own mostly, and apparently it's my fault because her daughter misses her dad too. And he would still be here if I didn't make a big deal out of everything. He is an adult. She is a child. It is his fault if he can't cope with the literal creations of his own doing. Like, soz mate, but that's called parenting. Him and your sister sound like two people I would not want to share oxygen in a room with for too long. Pretend Artist 1823 says, she is not your kid and it is not your fault or your responsibility. Exactly. And then Teltos72 says, agree. And if he left over this, then it's clearly just an excuse. Yes, exactly. I had this little thing that I was trying to think of what I thought, and it was that, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. But yeah, that's the thing that was nipping at me. It's that I was obviously thinking as well, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it, that yeah, if he left so easy, he's clearly using it as an excuse. Because anyone with common sense and half a brain would go, we're going to have to go stay in this house that isn't built for multiple families for a bit because we're out on our end and we need help. So it's probably going to not be comfiest for a while, you know? So this seems like an excuse. The OP is their scapegoat here. Their relationship, their child, their choices. Here. Okay, so we have another post here, and it's 2 posts in one. Again, love it. Update, would I be the butthole if I told my best friend's boyfriend that she cheated on him last week? Original post. I'm feeling a bit conflicted because my absolute best friend of 11 years made a pretty big mistake last weekend. We went out downtown for drinks and dancing because her relationship has been a bit rocky lately. They have been together for 8 years and have 2 kids together. Last weekend, she said she was going to break up with him, so she slept with a guy she met while we were at a bar. In the last week, her and her boyfriend have decided to stay together, and she told me she is taking what she did to the grave. I told her that he really deserves to know. She has been cheated on before, so she knows how much it sucks. I feel like I'm in a weird position because my loyalty is to my friend, but my morals are loyal to anyone. My gut tells me to tell him, but my heart knows that will end our friendship and potentially their relationship. I am currently planning on calling him tonight to tell him. I want to give her a heads up before I do so she can decide if she would rather tell him herself. Would I be the butthole? No, I don't think you would. I understand feeling entirely uncomfortable being the one that has to break the news, especially considering it's your best friend who's been doing the cheating. So I totally get that. That makes sense. But at the same time, if it were me at the end of the day, I would be thinking, I know what it feels like to be cheated on, and I wouldn't want somebody else to have that happen to them and not know. And it to have the potential to happen again. Because if she thinks she got away with it once, and the next time they have a little argument and she goes out, she's going to do it again. And I think also, I personally wouldn't want to be involved with someone who's like that either. Because I would then think, well, if I get in a relationship and then it all blows up on their behalf and then everyone finds out that I lied for her and that I never said anything, well, I'm going to get tarred with that brush then, aren't I? They're all going to think that I'm like that too, you know? So I think at the end of the day, I think my conscience would get the better of me no matter what, and I would have to tell the boyfriend because I would hate the thought of him just thinking everything's hunky-dory and actually she's there because she's there in the background, you know, knocking boots with all in sundry. Yeah, I think I'd have to. Anyway, here is the full update. I called her on Friday just telling her that I wasn't comfortable carrying this secret for her. My moral compass tells me that her boyfriend deserves to know, and as two women, me and her, who have both been cheated on, I expect her to understand. So I told her that she needed to tell him this weekend or I would. I offered to take the kids out to ice cream and a movie so that they could have the house an afternoon to themselves to talk this through. I also let her know that it would sound much better coming from her. The opportunity to work through this would probably be higher because accountability and honesty are important in relationships. She also let me know she would never forgive me. I let her know that I wasn't seeking her forgiveness and that it was my business when she chose to cheat on her boyfriend on our girls' night out, and that I wouldn't be the one ruining her relationships. Her actions would be. She was very upset and rejected my offer to watch the kids, but said that she would have the conversation after she put the kids down to bed. I followed up yesterday morning to see if she had the conversation. She left me on red at 10:53 a.m. I sent another later that evening around 5 p.m. to find that I had been blocked. So I took that as my answer and FaceTimed her boyfriend. I did have an image from that night of her at the bar with the guy she cheated with. I took it as I was leaving to get in my Uber. She insisted that I leave her alone that night, even though I told her that she was making a big mistake. So I'm guessing you took the photo so that if anything happened, then you knew who the guy was. You had picture proof of who it was. At first he thought I was making this up, but after he was able to ask some questions and saw the picture, he simply thanked me for letting him know. He let me know he is going to get tested because they have been intimate in the last week since she cheated. I am unsure where the relationship stands, and I am pretty confident I won't ever really know as my best friend has now blocked me on everything. I expected the friendship to end, whether I told him or not, because I don't want to be surrounded by anyone who would betray someone they are supposed to love. Yeah, that totally makes sense to me. And I would just not be able to be friends with that person anyway because they put me in such an uncomfortable position. So yeah, that makes sense. I have started relieving a lot of scam calls for insurance quotes and a few FU texts from an unknown number. I wonder who that could be. It is a mystery. Oh my goodness, we will never know. How bloody petty. Talk about not being able to take accountability for your own actions. Like, goodness me. I assume these are her, which makes sense because she has done that to others in the past that she felt burned her. Well, she clearly was a bit of a pooey person from the start. The writing was on the wall, hey. So then down in the comments, Fingerlings29 says, not the butthole, good job in exposing a cheater. Cheaters should be aware that there are consequences for cheating. Exactly. And then Noodle B Bar says, yes, kudos OP. If someone cheats and expects everyone around them to lie for them, that's just enabling. Actions have consequences, and it's refreshing when someone actually holds a line instead of covering for bad behaviour. And then Miniature? Miniature? 757 says, it's also worse to learn this kind of been going on or happened multiple times and people knew and acted as if nothing happened. Well, you were the only person in the dark. Precisely, that's what I said. Like, if she was to keep it stum and then it was to come out and, you know, and then the friends fella is like, you knew and you never said, it then makes OP look like someone who is okay with cheating too, you know? You don't want to get lumped in with that kind of behaviour. No, thank you. Okay, so I think that's all we've got time for today. But yeah, if you made it all the way to the end with me, then I appreciate you very, very much. If you give me a little like, subscribe, notifications on, I will appreciate you even more, and that is your initiation into the Cult of Void. Welcome. Whatever it is you're doing for the day, I hope you have a really good rest of the day. Goodbye. That was pathetic.